Hello and welcome to the ultimate guide on how to get the best horse right at the very start of the game in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. We all know Pebbles is the greatest horse of all time. Don't listen to what anyone else says. So in this guide, we'll also include how to get Pebbles right away. And on this journey, we'll also cover how to buy and sell horses. And for those that are new, why would we want to get a horse ASAP? Well, there's only one real reason we want to get a horse. Well, we're going to be able to carry a ton more loot, meaning more selling of items, so more money, more faster.
More money, more problems.
Or maybe more problems. That's for you to decide. But along with more money, more problems, getting a horse so early can make you overpowered, supercharge your early game, and just make the whole experience more enjoyable, as you'll have your noble, trusty steed right from the get-go, and that glorious extra carrying capacity. It also allows for faster traveling, making exploration much more enjoyable. And if you really want to be overpowered at the start, I have another video on how to get some of the best gear straight after getting Pebbles. So with just 5 measly coins to our name and barely a scrap of clothing on our back, I'll show you a step-by-step guide on how to get the best first horse immediately, proving that anyone can do this right from the very start. Let's get into it. So in order to show you where to get all the various different horses, they'll all start from the same starting point within the game. And that's as soon as we get free roam, right after the cutscene where we've been detained and we're in a little bit of a tight spot. So starting straight after this cutscene and after I've just spoken to this NPC, this is where we're starting from. So opening the map, here we are at Troskowitz. In order to get Pebbles, we need to travel to a location which you can actually slightly see amongst the clouds here. There's a few break separations, so we'll roughly set our checkpoint round about here-ish, just to give us a general guide of the direction, as it can be tricky getting your bearings at the start. But what we'll be doing is following this main road down to Samin. Now there's a couple different options we have. We can steal a horse to get there very fast, but I do not advise this method, but we will just cover it for completeness a bit further down the track. However, the best option is going to be just going on foot. So going on foot, we've set our flag up, so now we know the rough general location. So we can keep to the main path just to keep it simple, and so we get our bearings correct, but we're just going to be walking through the main center of town. So just opening the map to give you some good bearings. So here we are. So we're going to run down to this area here and hook a right as we're aiming for this area down here. So we'll just fast forward a little bit just so you can see where we have to turn off. I would aim to ignore any kind of distractions, but it's really up to you how you go about it. So opening the map, here we are at our first crossroad. We just want to make sure we go to the right here. So when you see this thing, we are heading to the right. And we can already see where we need to go right there. That's the location. So we're just going to go ahead and run to this area. Now for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to ride there just so you can see exactly how to get there, because being new to a game like Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance, this can be a little bit jarring and confusing. So we're just going to be belting along on the horse to get there really quick. You will pass by this little side camp here, a little fenced area, and we're just going to keep riding down. On horse, you'll get there really quick. It doesn't take long on foot either, but as you can see, it's really easy to establish the main point of reference of where we're trying to get to. And it is like a little keep castle thing. So just riding there. And another good thing to note is the big tree. You'll pass by quite a few different NPCs. It's up to you if you want to interact with them. But for the purpose of this, we're just going to run straight to the keep. So we passed the big tree. We can see the keep ahead of us. If you're on foot, you can just go straight through the keep. Now we should have no worries doing that, even though we've nicked this horse. So we'll just ride through here. So we've discovered Samin. So just to recap, we've gone from Troskowitz. We've taken the main path and we've followed it all the way down to Samin, to this keep right here. And you can see there's some nice pictures of some horses here, indicating this is where we're going to find the legendary Pebbles, and there the beauty is. So here is Pebbles in all her glory. This will be our first horse we're going to steal, and I'll show you how we're going to pull this off. So when you get here, you're going to recognize Pebbles, and we're stoked. We're very happy about this. If we go and find the horse keeper, we'll be able to talk to him, and they're going to laugh because we're pretty much half naked, but we're going to go Pebbles. It's going to be some dialogue about whose horse it is, and we're going to then come to these dialogue options. It's important to note through some of these dialogue options, we can obtain Pebbles for free. There is a domination check, which is the take a good look at me. From my testing, it will fail at 13. So if that figure under the heart with the crown is 13, you will fail this check. If you get to 14, you will pass the take a good look at me. Generally, you pass this by dressing up very noble-like as this is your domination, where you make it clear to other people that you are far superior to them. The other option is be reasonable, where you use your speech. From my testing, this will fail at 13 as well, but pass when you have a speech of 14, speech being the symbol of the mouth and where you try to handle the situation peacefully without conflict. So those are the two methods for getting her for free, but in the early game, that's not accessible to us really. If you want to go the option of buying her, you're looking at 150. You may be able to haggle that down, but not in this current state. And we only have 5 groschen, so this option is not available to us. Another thing is make sure before you talk to this guy or before you steal pebbles to save the game, if you can. We should have 1 save your snaps, so it's a really good idea to save it just in case anything goes wrong. And that goes for any time you're engaging in important dialogue. Make a save so you can come back to it. So those are some of the other options of getting pebbles. However, we're going to steal pebbles. But before we do that, it's important to note when we look at pebbles stats, they're pretty damn bad, but perfect for a beginner horse, and the value of 100, which if we go and check all the various other horses, we will note that their value is quite steep and expensive, especially when we're comparing to pebbles. And this is really important because the next horse that is closest in price or value is 160, which is technically still feasible with this method. So you will have 2 choices and only 2 using this method. You will be able to do the following steps with this horse here, which is just 160 and has a name of horse, or pebbles. So we're going to be going with pebbles this time. However, if you are wondering what the difference is between these 2 horses, I'll just do a side-by-side shot of the stats so we can get a good idea so you can make the choice of either going pebbles or this horse here. Pebbles has more stamina, less carrying capacity, less speed, but way more courage. However, the only shining factor for the other horse is it has a carry capacity of 216. So this is going to be the trades off. I'll let you to decide. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we're grabbing pebbles. So with all that out of the way, let's get to the action. Now, only a couple obstacles that we face when we grab pebbles initially is we can get knocked off by another person, or we can fall off pebbles depending on how we've set it up. But generally this process is very, very simple. But before we set this up, we need a rough bearing of where we need to go. So we're going to open our map. We're going to see Samine, and there's a very good chance that you will already have these icons already on your map. So we have go and seek Tomcat, and we have go and find Mutt. So I'm fairly sure these will both be visible to you. So the first stop for us is going to be making it to this area here. And the reason we're going to be going to this area here is, 1, this is where we're going to find the horse trader. We can avoid a lot of danger by going a little bit longer the way around. So for us, before we jump on pebbles, let's just set our marker at this crossroad here. But zooming into the map, we can see we're going to jump the fence and we're going to run past this house here up onto this path, and we're just going to follow that along. So here we are, we're on pebbles. Do note, if you have your tutorials on, they will pop up straight away when you jump on your first horse. But so we've alerted the guy and we need to get out of here quick. So we're going to press jump to get over that fence. That was a terrible jump. And we're going to head to this house just as we mentioned in the planning and preparations. You can take shortcuts if you want, but just for the purpose of this, we'll just try keep it simple, going past this house, and we're looking for the main road, which we will come to right here. So this is the main road, or a path I should say. We're just going to open the map as I may have strayed off a little bit. No, we're on the exact same path. Excellent. So we're going to just try follow this all the way now to the marker. So following this along, we'll just sort of speed it up a bit too, just so you don't have to get completely bored, but it's just good to take note of all the little bits and pieces around. And we're just going to close the tutorial so that's not so distracting, as you can go through that and read that in your own time. But we are sort of following this path along. As you can see, there are 2 very close to each other. So either of those, but heading to this fork in the road and then further up as mentioned. So let's keep riding, and we're just going to belt across. There's not too many landmarks, so the path is a good way to just know where you're going and that you're in the right direction. So we do have to keep in mind not to try to get knocked off the horse by pushing them too hard. And here we are at the first turnoff. So we've hooked sort of a right, and we're just going down into this valley. There is some chances you will come across some bandits or other potential NPCs or enemies. Just avoid them by running past them. But generally, this is safer. There shouldn't be too many issues coming through this way, not from my testing. So it should be pretty straightforward, and it will only take a moment before we reach this camp. So this is the No Man camp, and we've arrived just at our cross section. Now we're looking for the guy who sells horses. So if we want to find the horse trader, he is going to be located just on this side of the camp, and this is what he looks like right here. So depending on the time of when you're doing this, you will find him at different locations within the camp. So we're going to talk to this trader, and this is where we get introduced into the horse black market. Quite a bit of dialogue here, so you can go through that. And this is where we'll have the option to sell or acquire. If we wanted to sell Pebbles, he will offer 80. So in this instance, we get 80% of the value. However, do note, the more value a horse has, the less you'll get when you go to sell them. So the percentage will drop. If you have a horse that is valued at 1,600, you'd sell it for roughly 600, which is roughly 37% value. Just a very quick example. And this will depend on a few different factors like perks, but we won't worry about that. And if we want to acquire her, it's going to cost us 120. We only have 5 groschen, so we need to address that right now. So we're going to do that. But just before we do that, very important to note that if you cannot find this guy here, go look in the camp, as you will find him. Do not pass time at all when you have a horse that you just stole, because if you pass time, they will disappear. They've run away. So make sure you never pass time in these scenarios. Anyway, we're going to jump back on Pebbles, and we're going to go this way. We're going to walk down from the camp where the 2 horses are, and we just talked to the horse trader. I'm going to go through this little tight cliff here. The reason we're going this way is because we get to avoid possible dangers like wild dogs and other issues. We're going to pass through this camp here, and we're just going to keep trolling through. And once we get to the riverbank, this is where we're going to open our map, and we can see that we've passed down this camp here and we're at the water edge. We need to set our next target, which is going to be over here. So we're going to run all the way along the edge of the water to get to this location. And we're going this way to avoid wild dogs and other dangers. And this is where we're going to get all the coin we need to buy our first horse. So I will fast forward this section, but basically it's a pretty simple thing where we will just follow the edge of the water. What is really important to note is not to go through this way, because you will see wild dogs. And these guys are very problematic when we have no weapons and nothing to our name. Do note though, you do have a hunting sword, so you can possibly fend them off quite easily, but the good chance of your horse running off is quite high. So we're just going to avoid them altogether and not go that way. And just opening the map for reference, you'll find the dogs in this little valley here. So we're going to keep trolling it along and do some of this in a faster speed, just so you can get a good idea. And a lot of the time you will just be running through vegetation. So it looks like this. Do have to be mindful that your horse is going to have a bit of a hard time traveling and navigating. So you can do this as slow or as fast as you want in order to stay on your horse, because she will try and knock you off depending how you go about it. But in the end, we will just be running through all this vegetation. You'll get to the tree, you will want to jump over the tree, and that's when you'll know you're very close to our destination to get the coin to purchase the horse. And here we are. So going to open the map right on our point, but you'll also note that this area is called the Water Goblin's Treasure. There'll be a little marker or indication, so we know we're in the right place. So just to give you a very clear indication, this is where we are in terms of the whole map, in case you want to do this a bit differently, but here we are. But this is the spot. Jump off the horse, and pretty much looking at this big tree here, you'll see some vines. I'm going to go all the way down to this pot here and open it. And we're going to find 125 groschen. So we're going to take that, and that is the money we need to purchase Pebbles. And since everything's very new, I'm just going to quickly do a rotation of the area, just so you get a really good visual indication of where we are. But basically you're looking for this area with the green algae floating at the top here, just to sort of distinguish the area, the tree, the pot. And the tree is probably a good indicator because it is huge, but that will really help just to give you a bit more of a visual idea of this surrounding area. So we picked up the groschen, and now we're going to head right back to the way we came, so we can set up a marker just to make it a bit easier so we do not get lost. But we're just following the water edge all the way back, and we'll jump over that tree again and just keep walking. So we will skip through most of this part, but as you can see, we're passing through this area with the dogs, which is very important. You can run past there. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. So it's up to you what you want to do. But the horse trader is on this side anyway, so it's probably better that we just go this way. So when we get to this tree, we will know that we're good to go, and you'll see the ramp. Be able to come through here, come through the camp, go through this very tight rock area. Horse can have a little trouble getting through there sometimes, but otherwise it's not too bad. And we will be able to find the horse handler, and it can be a little bit finicky to get the horse black market. So if you don't see it straight, move your horse around, talk to him, and you should be able to get it. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 goes just to get that black market to pop up, and it's just related to where your horse position is. So here we want to acquire and we want to keep. So we'll go through the dialogue, and we have 130 thanks to that coin we just picked up. So we'll be able to pay this price of 120 and get our first horse, being Pebbles, the legendary Pebbles, at the very, very start of the game. So going through this, there'll be some dialogue. And you'll also note that the horse trader is going to throw in the old saddle and some gear, so you'll be able to use her straight away. And after that, we can now whistle, call her over. We just need to put the gear on, so we can go into inventory, scroll down, and we've been given a bridle and a saddle. So we're going to press X on both of these to drop them into the horse inventory, which you can now click onto the horse and see it's listed here. Then from the horse inventory, we can click on the item, hit E for equip, and then E again on the saddle, and bing, bada boom, we have our first horse and saddle being Pebbles. And look at the carry capacity. So the saddle comes with 158. We currently have 126, so it's given us a massive increase on carry capacity. This is such a potent thing to do at the start because it's just going to allow you to loot so much more and get around faster. Now, the repercussions of this is I would stay away from Sameen for quite some time because they did see you steal a horse, so that would take some time to negate. But for the most part, there isn't too much you need to do around here too soon. But if you did head back and run right in front of the guy, he's going to recognize the horse, so you don't want to come back here too soon. And if you do get caught, you can be looking at anywhere from 200 to 300-400 groschen for stealing Pebbles. The price will change depending on what horse, so do avoid this area for a while. Alternatively, if you don't want to get any kind of fine and do this process, we would just wait till nighttime. Now that it's nighttime, there's generally no one to see us steal the horse. So in this instance, if we go and steal Pebbles, and if we get to the no man camp, we will have to wait while we're on the horse pretty much until daytime. Because keep in mind, we can't skip time, otherwise the horse will disappear. And if we stay off the horse long enough, they will start to head home. So keep that in mind. You want to stay on the horse and you will have to wait till daytime. Now, if you wait till morning, you'll find the horse handler in various different places within the camp. However, you won't be able to actually talk to him once he's finished his morning routine, so after he finishes eating. And if we travel back to Sabine, we'll be able to walk through the gate, and this time when we go up to the guy, he will not recognize us. So we'll just run through here and we'll ride in front of him, and you can see he's not bothered. So combination of doing it at nighttime, passing some time, and he's going to be fine with us stealing this horse. And one last thing, if you do go for the other horse, which is that brown horse we covered, if you do jump on that and do this same process, you're looking at 140 groschen to be able to purchase the brown horse. Whereas following this guide, we're only going to have 130 groschen. So in order to make up the rest of that groschen, just sell whatever items you have. You should easily be able to make an extra 10 groschen, and then you're good to go. And that concludes the tutorial of getting Pebbles, the greatest horse at the very start of the game. Hope this was helpful. If you got anything out of it, consider liking, subscribing, goes a really long way, and have a lot of fun out there. Until next time, peace.